Peace and love, Ken Aguinobi here. Today I want to talk about why it's very important to keep going even when things may seem difficult, your goals may seem unattainable, when you experience a lot of bottlenecks and roadblocks, pitfalls, a lot of inconveniences, and it feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. But from experience in business and in life, one thing I can share with you is that when things seem the most difficult and you begin to doubt yourself, you begin to consider pivoting, switch into something else where you inevitably have to start all over from scratch, go through the learning curve, build your network through that new sector. One thing I can share with you from my experience is that even when things may seem like they're not working, there's an element of what you're doing that is indeed working. So essentially the overall picture, the dots may not be connecting, and it may seem as though the overall picture is unattainable. The overall goal is unattainable, and that you cannot reach there. It may seem impossible. It may seem difficult, or it may seem as though you're not equipped with the adequate tools to get to the destination. But I guarantee you that every journey begins with one step, and that every step that you're taking towards that path does count. As much as you may doubt yourself, as much as those around you may doubt you, and sometimes with reason, right? Because some of these people want the best for you. They may assume that you're wasting precious time. And in fact, you may also assume that, that because you're not seeing the success that you want, or you're not getting the income that you want, or because you've left that fancy job and had to take a pay cut voluntarily, right, to fall back and expand your business, right, to develop something that can serve you in the long run, and that you're able to pass on to your children, and something that can serve you in retirement, something that you can manage for the rest of your life, or something that you find joy in, something that you find joy doing. And because of all these circumstances, especially financial, because you may not be reaping the financial benefits of what it is that you're doing. In fact, in most cases, you're having to spend a lot of money. You're expending a lot, investing into your business, into these ideas, into developing these projects, these assets. And it may seem as though it's a never-ending journey and that you'll never get there. But the way success works is consistency is very important, right? And not being consistent at the wrong thing, because you have to be able to identify when your efforts are somewhat futile, right? So you have to be able to gauge and analyze what it is that's working, where you need some calibration, where you need to readjust and realign yourself to ensure that everything, all the effort that you're putting out is being maximized, and that you're optimizing every stage, every every source of energy, everything that you're putting out, that you're maximizing it. And the way success works is you'll eventually raise your head, and even though you may not be at destination, you'll realize that you're much closer than you think. It's like going on a voyage, on a journey in the ocean, and when you look out, when you first start off on this journey and you look into the ocean, you can't see anything. You can't even imagine that there's land on the other side of the ocean where you're headed to. And inevitably there is. But you'll get to a point where you're halfway in through the journey in that ocean, and the distance turning back is much further, or sometimes just as much. The distance is the same turning back than going forward, and you have no choice. But in most cases, I tell you, the distance going forward will be shorter than going backwards. And at these moments is when you have to endure. This is when you have to endure the most. This is when you have to turn on all engines and push through it. Because this is where a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people who strive to achieve certain things, this is where they give up, believe it or not. When they get to that point of no return, where it's either sink or swim. So I just thought I'd share these thoughts with you, just in case you were considering giving up on something where you might be much closer than you think you are. Push through. Persevere. Endure. Stay consistent. Continue to paddle. Continue to push through it. And eventually, you'll come out on the other end. But before that, you'll see that light at the tunnel that will give you hope and let you know that all your labor and all your hard work is indeed not in vain. So be encouraged. Be encouraged. Stay strong, persevere, keep fighting through it, and endure. Peace and love. Ken Aguinobi, signing out.